Welcome to the mid-season Weekly Rebound. Guess who is back? The one and only. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to take it from the moment. Connor, how we feeling?
Yo, the duo's back in action, baby. Listen, it's a Thursday, and we got no legacy leagues today, so it just feels weird. Shout out 4th of July tomorrow, depending on when you guys are listening to this. Happy birthday to our great country. But yeah, it's a Thursday. There's no legacy leagues today, so we had to, kind of scratch that itch somehow. So here we are. We're back, the Weekly Rebound. We're doing a little mid-season recap. I got my boy Greg Horne with me. Greg, I'm feeling great. I'm ready to roll. How about you, baby?
Hell yeah, couldn't have said it better. Shout out America. Shout out 4th of July. Someone have a dog, have a burger, ribs, I don't know, macaroni salad. Whatever people like, enjoy some watermelon, beer, I don't know. Shout out July 4th, man. It's a great day. Well, you're right. Depending on when this comes out, maybe it's a great day of July 4th. It could be like July 5th. But shout out America nonetheless. And, speaking of a great day, usually today is a great day. You're right. It's Legacy Leagues action. But the best we can do is kind of go over what we've seen so far in these first 4 weeks. It's been an interesting season. A little top heavy right now, but very deep in the mid pack with a lot of teams that are at 2-2. And we're going to start at the top with the two 4-0 teams. And we're going to start with my boys, the Flint Tropics. And, it might be kind of quick for the top teams in this league right now, for these two top teams with me and Connor. I don't know about Connor, but Flint's really taking care of business. 102-71, the Snipe squad. I'm not going to really go through the scores for these guys because, they usually beat most teams, I'd say, from about an 8 to 12 point margin. Flint usually is in control. You really don't stress when you're watching them. They go down ever, you're like, they'll hit a few threes, they'll be back in this. Matt Fink will start talking, he'll say check rock. And once Matt Fink says check rock, that's usually wraps for them. I mean, there's really not much I can say for Flint. Flint is pretty much like that, LeBron Heat, Warriors prime team, like Celtics when everyone's healthy. Like, it's a ring or bust. Like, I'm not looking for Flint to make the playoffs. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a top seed in this league. They're going to have MVPs. Like, this is what Flint does. I'm looking forward to, come playoff time, that semifinals and that finals round. Can they just get the job done and get the ring? Because, Flint Nation, we're starving for another one. Connor, I'll kick it over to you. I mean, there's so many superlatives you could say about this Flint Tropics team, and you could give them all the praise and everything. But, what have you seen specifically from them so far?
Yeah, these boys are nasty. They know they're nasty. I mean, anytime you have a guy like TJ Gianni kind of just like supplementing minutes off the bench, I mean, this kid, we've seen him in roles where they've asked a lot from him, and he can go out there and give you 30, just, putting up those threes that he's been so accustomed to hitting over his Legacy Leagues career. Having a guy like that as like a role player is insane. It's kind of like, shout out my boys, the Celtics. I know it's not a great time for us right now, but he's like that Peyton Pritchard, that spark plug off the bench. Who hits threes, and I think that he's just really adept at that role, and it's cool to see the maturity of him as like he's stepped back as a guy who's always been in the forefront of what the Flint Tropics have always been successful at, and now kind of taking a step back, letting Quan get a little bit more shine, but still being really productive. Obviously, Bizzuto and Fink, just that two-headed monster, and like you said, Greg, before we went live, we're kind of we're gonna get into some of the superlatives of players. In the later end of this episode, but we talked a little bit about Quan and how he's kind of just been overshadowed by Mike and Matt. But if you look at the numbers, you can make an argument on any given night. He's the best guy out there sometimes. Just with his effectiveness on both ends of the court, his ability to get to the basket. We've always talked about him just being an absolute stud for this team, and he's a perfect fit. It was a great addition when they got him on this roster. And listen, the Flint Tropics were the favorites to win it last year. Matt Fink gets sick, can't show up in the playoffs. Hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes it rolls your way, sometimes it doesn't. Flint had a tough break there, but listen, if they show up in the playoffs with their fully assembled roster and the way that they want to play, it's going to be tough to beat this team. And really where I'm getting at is the way they just kind of took on Get Money in this previous matchup. I think Get Money, if you look at the standings right now, 3 teams have made it to a championship game in the Legacy Leagues. You got Run TMC, Get Money, and the Flint Tropics. A lot of these other teams, kind of newly branded rosters and whatnot, but those are the 3, guys that have 3 teams that have established themselves as teams that have made it to that big game. And Flint has just taken down Get Money with pretty much relative ease. They were kind of worried about covering a spread at the end of that game more than they worried about winning, which is actually kind of funny. That's just how the Flint Tropics are. They're not even trying to beat you; they're trying to demoralize you and get money. They I guess they set like a 12-point spread or something. It was funny, and I guess Get Money backdoored them right at the last second, and they were all busting each other's balls at the end of the game, like blaming each other, like for who gave up that layup and blew the backdoor cover. But man, yeah, it's a fun team to watch. They're going to be dangerous, obviously. In the post-game interview, I was like, "You guys are one of the top dogs," and Matt stopped me in mid-sentence and goes, "Nah, we are the top dog." So that's their aura right now. That's the way they're feeling, and they have every right to feel like that with the way they've been playing. So shout out to the Flint Tropics. I think definitely deserving of that top dog role right now in Legacy.
Yeah, very interesting. I think they're top dog for sure. They're always top dog in my book, but I think there's a team that's going to have something to say about that. And look, week 6, July 17th. That's 2 weeks from now. We're gonna see Flint Tropics versus this team, and that's the Run TMC Joey Zaccos. No, I'm not gonna call them that ever again. But shout out to the Commissions team, Run TMC, because they are running this league right now. I'll tell you that. Run TMC, look. I just want week 1, right? Let's look at if you look at TMC's schedule. Although TMC's army is probably led by Reggie, but TMC's schedule, they played the Syndicate the first week, and it was a pretty close game. I'm not gonna lie. Syndicate played well, but that's just because they didn't have the Devon Pratt effect. And I was talking about this on the post game, Connor. Devon Pratt is just. I was telling the interns, like, Pratt is an incredible player. MVP level. When he gets going from 3, he's lights out. Like, Pratt is such a great player. But what separates Pratt from a lot of players in this league, and you know who had a little bit of this, was a shout-out throwback, Melvin Horne. There's guys that just are an energizer buddy for their team. They get everyone going. And Devon Pratt on this team, it's so funny because, they had a rivalry in the past, and they played, Pratt obviously played TMC so much. The way he gets Reggie going, Eric Singleton doesn't dunk the ball. He just is like, Eric, nah, you got to dunk that. I just love the way Pratt fits this team. He has so much fun playing basketball on this team, and I'm a Flint Tropics guy through and through. And I don't think I've ever been more scared of a team playing my Flint Tropics than this Run TMC, honestly, going forward. I mean, Eric Singleton has been a favorite of this podcast for so long, and he is playing incredible like he always does. I mean, there is just not much this Run TMC team can't do. And, they're just going to add Eric Langston to this puzzle, if he ever shows up. So I just wanted to really give Pratt, again, his flowers. There's so many things you can say about Reggie and about Scave, who is just, I always say, best rebounder we've ever seen. Will Hudson played great when he came. But I just love seeing Pratt have fun and play the brand of basketball he's playing out there. And it is just the way he fits this team. Hey, Run TMC, they are coming for my Flint Tropics. If Flint's the top dog, Run TMC is right there barking at their heels because, man, are they playing good basketball right now. What do you think, Connor?
Wow, Greg, the way you just flowed, top dog, barking at the heels, dude. Greg Horne's in flow state, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute prime right now, Greg Horne. No, but honestly, the funniest thing for me with Run TMC was this moment that I was able to kind of spectate as like a fly on the wall, and it was the Lux gang. They were playing on their court, and the Run TMC was playing on the other court across from them, and it was like halftime in Lux gang's game, and obviously Lux gang, shout out to them, new team, new guys, new faces to this league, and they're watching Run TMC play, and they're like, and they watched this one play where Reggie came down, does like a behind the back pass to Pratt, who pump fakes, passes it to a corner to Eric Singleton, who hit a 3. And they go, and one of the guys on Lux game was like, damn, man, those guys are really good. Those are one of the best teams. That's one of the best teams in the league right there. And somebody on Lux gang goes, yeah. All those guys, man, they've been playing together forever, all those guys on Run TMC. And I'm laughing, and I'm like, not really, but kind of, right? Like, they've been playing against each other forever. So, like, they know each other's play styles, right? Like that rivalry that was, Shocker City that became Yagerville versus Joey's Run TMC and the blue and yellow, like Eric Singleton and Reggie, like those guys have shared so many courts together over the years, and then obviously in the All-Star games, all of those guys have been All-Stars forever. So they've always had those All-Star games. Sometimes they're on the same team, sometimes they're against each other, but it's all love between those guys, and those guys know each other's strengths. They know each other's weaknesses in areas where they can, help each other out. And yeah, and that's why we're seeing this Run TMC look as good as they have, because maybe these guys haven't been on the same team forever, but they know each other so well, and they know each other's game plays or game styles so well. So, yeah, just a really intriguing roster. I was laughing my ass off when Joey assembled this team. I was like, Joey, what the hell, dude? Like, these are the guys you've been trying to take down for so long. And I shout out to Joey. He'll admit it. He said, bro, if you can't beat him, join him. So, he had those moments, right? He's had those moments with Run TMC. They got their championship, but still, nonetheless, getting these guys on his team. I know he's never beaten them in the finals, but nonetheless, getting these guys for him on this team, I think that was a great addition by Joey. Kind of swallowed his pride a little bit there, but hey, Dave and Pratt were willing to join, and if you can get guys like that, Langston, he's already been on Joey's teams in the past, so I don't think that was too hard of a transition for him. We need Eric to show up. We don't need even Eric to show up just to play. I need Eric to show up for the vibes, for the energy, and if we can get that, Legacy Leagues is a better place when Eric Langston's there. So shout out to Eric. Hope he shows up. Shout out to Run TMC and this great roster. It's basically like they tried to make the Avengers here. So we'll see how it goes. But like you said, them and Flint right now, the top two teams. Who's number 3, Greg?
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, look, number 3, this is where things start to get fishy. Shout out Run TMC. The top 2 dogs, they're sitting pretty at the top of that mountain. They're in the winner's lounge. They're getting that lobster steak dinner, a little champagne, a little caviar, a little toast with some tuna tartare on it, a little sesame oil maybe. I don't know. They're getting some good stuff. They're in the winner's lounge, and now we're moving on to the where it gets really tight. This is when you're outside the bar and there's just a huge line and everyone's crammed together tight. That is these teams, because I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to start. We got Get Money, Lord's Army, NLMB, Snipe Squad, Street Ballers, and Lux Gang, all sitting at 2-2. All those teams are at 2-2. Obviously, we have the 2 0-4 teams, which we'll get to after, but we're going to start with Get Money because I think we'd all agree they're probably at the top of that 2-2 right now, with their 2 losses being to Run TMC and Flynn, and they played them well. They played them tight, but I think for Get Money, it's it's more of a just gelling thing, just kind of like Connor said. TMC really fit together perfectly, and I think for Get Money, they got a few new pieces and they're trying to figure it out. Honestly, for them, I would just shake it off and keep pushing. Their last 4 games are Street Ballers, Enterprise Elite, Lord's Army, and Syndicate. I'm going to just say that if I could bet my house on them winning those 4 games, I would. I'm going to say they finished the season completely flawless and that they're going to be sitting at 6-2 by the end of this year. So I don't think they have anything to worry about. I think they should use these next 4 weeks and really focus on maybe using different rotations, figuring out who plays good with who, and just figuring out, look, when we play Run TMC and Flint, what do we have to do differently to beat them next time? Because honestly, they're probably not going to have to play both teams. They could, they're probably going to have to play both teams now that I think about it. I mean, at least I would say they probably have to, but they just need to figure out what can we do differently, because it's been a problem in the past, and I know Joey always says it. Run TMC's always beat Get Money. I don't know what Get Money record is against Flint, but it's probably not that great. And we love Get Money on this pod. They have such great basketball players, and we want to see Tyron back. I think that's something that people don't get, and I always try to remind the interns. Tyron McRae is one of their best players. He's a leader out there, so they really are missing a big piece. But we can only evaluate what they're doing, and shout out Kyle Davis. Can't say enough with him. Taishim McRae is phenomenal. Nas, I mean, these guys, X, they all look great, but Get Money. I'm gonna kick it to Connor because this is a squad and they have so many positives but a few negatives, and how are they kind of gonna figure that out and keep it pushing for these last 4 games and into the playoffs?
Yeah, this team, I love what they did, Greg. They added Nas Pryor to this roster, and like you said with Tyron McRae, yeah, I mean the old interns from last season, they knew Tyron was injured because Tyron was showing up. He had a cast on his leg and he was limping around. I think he had that little cart thing he was wheeling himself around on one knee. But it was obvious, this guy's injured. He's still showing up. He's supporting his team. Now he's gotten a little bit more progressive on his recovery. He's walking around. We'd love to see that. but he's still not 100% ready to go out there and play. So maybe some of these interns are just looking like, oh, is this guy like their coach? Because we have coaches, right? No, we got to remind these interns that's an all-star right there. That's a guy who can easily go on a bad night put up 20 points per game, right? One of the best three-point shooters in the league, and just an overall leader of men out there, right? Like he's one of those guys that he just gets everybody to buy into what he's trying to put out there, and that's why
All-Star game MVP. Shout out my guy. Won me that All-Star game.
Yeah, and kind of screwed me in that All-Star game, but we won't talk about that. But that never happened. That never happened. I'm definitely not 0-2 against Greg in All-Star games or nothing like that. But anyways, moving on. Get money. That's my boy Kyle Davis, just going crazy this year. And honestly, like I hate to say it, but like 21 points per game for Kyle Davis, and this is funny, me being a guy who averaged like fucking 5 points in legacy leagues, but 21 points per game for Kyle Davis. It's a bad season. That's how good he is. That's how good Kyle is, and I expect that number to go up dramatically in the second half of the year. I think that number goes up to 27, 28 points per game when it's all said and done. So get money, like you said, Greg, second half of the season. I think they definitely kick it into high gear. Had a couple tough matchups early on into the season where it's like you're still trying to find out like how to get Nas mixed into the situation, which I really like Nas, 16 points per game. But one thing I got to see from Nas is he's the biggest body on the court. And, unlike Tarek and who's the other big guy, Terrell Lewis Jr., those are tall guys that Get Money's always relied on as their bigs, but they're very thin. Like they're lanky, kind of like built like a stretch big. Nas got a lot of muscle on him, dude. He's got to get more rebounds per game than 4 right now. Tarek is almost doubling him up on the rebounds per game. And I would probably assume that Nas is, just from the eye test of watching a few of these games, he's playing more minutes than Tarek. So there's no reason he should be getting doubled up out there. He's the biggest guy. He's got a lot of muscle, and he's got a lot of height. So I expect him to kind of juice up those rebound numbers, Kyle to juice up the scoring numbers. We need Ty Sheen to just continue playing lockdown defense, two-way player on the wing. And I got high expectations for these guys. We'll get more into the season-long projections at the back half of the show, but I know Get Money didn't want to start out 2-2. I know they would like to be 3-1 or 4-0 at this point, but like you said, Greg, and I agree with you. Second half of the year, I think they're gonna really, really show off what they can do and turn some people's heads, because that's a championship caliber roster right there. So shout out Get Money. Those are my boys right there.
Yeah, no. Shout out Get Money. Get Money boys, they're the best. And look, I agree. That back half of the schedule sometimes works out where they're probably going to go in 4-game win streak. They're feeling good. They're playing good basketball. And, honestly, with the Kyle Davis thing, I think they added Nas, they added a few guys. He's having his best year percentage-wise. He's shooting 60% from the field. He's just maybe not taking as many shots because there's,
right. I want to see him more assertive out there. I want to see that Kyle Davis that just goes out there and chucks shots up. And as long as he's doing it efficiently, like he's been doing this season, there's no reason for him to not have that green light to just go absolutely crazy. No one's got a better mid-range in the game than Kyle Davis. And his three-pointer, he's a 40% three-point shooter this season, which is great. It's a great number. That's pretty much the benchmark for what you hit that 40%. You're in that caliber of elite shooters. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it's funny because after the game, I was just shooting around the basketball on the other court, and Kyle comes over, and it was on 10 feet, and Kyle comes over, just the ball rolls over next to him, he picks it up, not even trying, splashes at the ray just right in front of me. And I go, Kyle, what the hell, dude? He goes, bro. He goes, I'm so much better on 10 feet. I'm like, if you're so much better on 10 feet and you're a 40% shooter in this league, I go, damn, that's a scary thought to imagine having to guard that kid in a 10-foot league. So, yeah, shout out to Kyle Davis.
Yeah, yeah, fucking Kyle. I said at the few post-game show, best offensive player maybe I've ever seen in this league. But speaking of great offensive players, we got a team that's sitting at 2-2. And, look, it's been a roller coaster for this team. I'll tell them that. Lord's Army. We got the I don't know if anyone's ever been to Blue Colony Diner. Shout out Blue Colony. But I call this team the combo platter team. You got a little bit of everything. You got the tenders, the onion rings. You got the mozz sticks. Maybe there's some potato skins. I don't know what you put in your combo platter. But you got Lord's Army. And look, Lord's Army started this season 0-2. And we're all like, oh, shit. Is it going to be one of these seasons? And then they bounced back with 2 straight wins over Enterprise Elite and the Syndicate. And they're 2-2, and they lost the Snipe Squad by a lot. They lost the Lux Gang by 1, so I think that's a game they'll probably want to get a revenge, and maybe we can get a rematch in the playoffs. You never know. But Lord's Army, they got some big games coming up. They play Run TMC next week, then they got Get Money the week after, and then Flint Tropics. So 3 of their last 4 games are against the top 3 teams we just talked about, and that's going to really show us, I think, where these guys are at. Jason Hernandez is playing some great basketball. It's good to see Jay just having fun out there, doing his thing. I mean, when he's flowing, like Connor said, flow state. When Jason gets in flow state, he just plays such a fun brand of basketball. And then you got guys like Jacob Morales who just can dunk over anyone. Randy Kahn is starting to dunk, and he's hitting the 3-ball. Jamal Winter is great on the defensive end. And then you got Jay Velez, who just, really does his thing out there. He's a leader for these guys. He really hasn't got going this year, and that's another thing I think for this Lord's Army's team is they haven't shot the 3-ball very well this year, and it's surprising because that's something you really expect from this team with the guys they have. You'd think they'd be, heavily reliant on the 3 this year, and they've attempted the 3rd most threes in the league, but they've only made 38 threes and they've attempted 126. Now, I'm not that great at math, but I don't think that's a great percentage considering NLMB has made 50 and only taken 2 more threes. So, look, I think Lord's Army is going to – it's only up from here. I think that, if I was a betting man, I think Run TMC, they're probably going to lose that game to Run TMC next week. But then after that, they play the Street Ballers. And I think if Lord's Army can beat the Street Ballers – that sets them up really nicely. They did their job. The Lux game, you would probably want to win that if you're on Lord's Army, but you got it. Just move on, flush it. Take care of business with what you can. Let's say best case they go 1-3 to finish out the year. I don't think that's bad. I think that the Street Ballers game is something that they really got to focus up in and just they got to take out this Street Ballers team because Street Ballers is another team in the same boat as Lord's Army who's 2-2. Try to make a mark. I think Get Money's in a little different boat, and I think NLMB's probably in a little different boat than a few of these teams. But Lord's Army's our first, if we had a tier list this, they're in the, hungry and ready to prove something tier, whereas Get Money and NLMB is probably in the, we've been here before, keep doing our thing tier. So, Connor, I'm going to go to you. Lord's Army, you know these guys very well. What do you say?
Well, dude, that Lux game, that opening night game, I listen – I wasn't aware. There was we're not going to get too into it because it was the first game of the year, and they're putting it behind them. But it was just a weird situation at the end of that game. There was an offensive foul, and Lord's Army thought they were getting free throws, but it was an offensive take foul, so there wasn't free. Well, I'm not getting into it. All I know is that if I was refereeing that game, the way Joey and the referee explained it to me afterwards with how it all worked, if I was a referee on that court, I always thought the second foul under 2, you're at the line, no matter what kind of foul it is. I thought we were pretty simple with that, but then as Joey explained the rules to me, it's not the way it worked with certain offensive fouls and whatnot. So at the end of the day, there was a weird play. Jake Morales was trying to save a bad pass, or he stole a bad pass, and he was trying to save it and then threw it back into play. And it was a very weird play. He got fouled while he was trying to save it. They could have won that game is essentially what I'm getting at here, and they should have won that game. They kind of let Lux Gang back into that. They looked good early, and then they started to fall apart. And but I do like the way they've bounced back in these recent weeks. Shout out to our boy Jason Hernandez, dude. He's been absolutely balling this year. My boy Butter, right? Remember that dude is the OG Butter right there from the Throne days, going all the way back to the Throne. Shout out Lee Light. I like this team a lot. But Jason Hernandez has been dropping bars in the postgame. I don't know if you've been watching these postgame interviews, dude. They're actually hysterical. 2 weeks ago, he called Vincent Callahan on Enterprise Elite Kevin Herter. He was like, yo, shout out Kevin Herter. Bro was hooping out there. And now all I see is Kevin Herter every time I look at Vincent Callahan. And then last week, he was like, yo, shout out to my boy Jake Griffin out here dunking on guys. I'm like, yo, how have we not come up with these names, dude? We got to get Jason on the pod. He should take our jobs, dude. He's got nothing but bars. But yeah, I was like, yo, Jake Griffin's crazy. I mean, all that dude does is posterize people. I don't know why we've been sleeping on that. That was an unbelievable nickname. I don't think we can call him anything else ever again. But yeah, I like this Lord's Army's team. They got to get Sean Sada a little bit more action. He's only got there's only like 3 guys on this team that have less shots than Sean Sada, and a couple of them haven't even shown up for all these games. So I want to see him more involved. I figured on this roster with like a little bit less guys that he'd be more in a forefront role scoring wise. He's still doing 11 points a game, so it's not like he's not showing up, but I want to see Sean in that like 16 to 20 point range because I know that's what he's capable of. So they got to try to find a way to get him more minutes. But Jason's been a great leader for this team. He's been talking about how he's not the same player as he was when he joined this league, with the years. But I said, hey, with the years comes wisdom, and I like his leadership role that he's played for this team. And yeah, I liked that game last week too against the boys on the Syndicate. There was like a little family rivalry in that game. And that was a cool game to see all those guys going head to head, against Rivera and his cousins. So that was a fun game, and I'm liking where Lord's Army's heading now with those 2 wins back to back. So hopefully they can keep it up.
Yeah, shout out Lord's Army. Keep going, guys. And here we go. This is where I said, we might start to get to the teams. We're going to get to one more team in the 2-2 pack that I think has been here before, has a good history in this league, and that's NLMB. NLMB is, again, doing their thing. NLMB's losses are to Get Money and to Flint. And then they took out Lux Gang and Street Ballers. And look, rest of their years looking like a Syndicate Snipe Squad run TMC Enterprises Elite. And there's going to be some hard games in there. But look, if NLMB can go 3-1 and finish the season out, they're sitting pretty. And I think, they have a good shot at doing that. NLMB is just, they're a 3-point reliant team. They shoot the 3 very well. And they have fun doing it. Some of the interns, shout out Brendan. Brendan's on the NLMB train. He was the first one on it since week 1. He was loving them. And, it's the Dante Hodge, Christian DeSuit, kind of just the show. They run it. And then Alex Willis is phenomenal out there. He's a leader. And the rest of the guys, they're the definition of role players, and they play their role great. And you need role players in this league to win a chip. And this NLMB team, they just shoot the 3 so damn well. When they get going from 3, they are never out of a game, and I think that's really their best strength, is that they can always come back. They can always push you to your limit. Connor, I know you love a few of the guys on this team. What do you see from NLMB?
Love them, dude. Like you said, I'm not going to really – you hit all the nails on the head here. Christian and Dante, man. Just the way honestly, Christian specifically, Dante's got the numbers, and we've seen him in this league at his best, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league by a mile. But for some reason, Christian, dude, the way he hoops, man, it's the handle, it's the way he finds space in small spots on the court, the way he operates, he rises up so high up on that jump shot, like so high. I always admire guys that's the definition of a jump shot. And you see a lot of kids, a lot of guys, even in the NBA, the guys that really don't elevate too high when they shoot the ball. And obviously you have a little bit more body control and whatnot, but that's why I admire a true jump shot where the kid, Greg, he's like 1.5 feet off the ground every time he releases his shot. He's got that left-handed release. I just love watching him play. I might be fanboying a little bit over here, but he's honestly nasty, and he's like a 2K creative player that I always try to make whenever I'm on 2K. I always max out the ball handling, max out the speed, max out the mid-range jumper. That's Christian out there, just straight hooping on these boys. Averaging 20 points per game this season and 45% from 3. That's an insane number because he shot 37 threes, Greg. He's made 17 of 37. He's just under 50% with that number. Over 50, 54.5% from the field. A lot of those are mid-range jumpers, Greg, where, typically guys will juice up their field goal percentage by getting good shots like layups at the rim and dunks at the rim. He's getting a lot of his damage on those 2-point shots with the mid-range, and that's what makes that number even more impressive to me. Alex Willis is just doing a good job, like you said, Greg. Good job mentioning him. They needed a third option, a supplementary scorer. Shout out our boy AirPod Drew from last season. He's not back, so obviously NLMB needed somebody to step up and to be that third guy for them, and it's been Alex Willis this year, and like you said, all these other guys just doing a good job playing their role, getting rebounds. And yeah, man, this team isn't going to be a favorite to beat any of the best teams in the league. I think that goes without being said. But with that being said, they could beat any of the best teams in the league in the playoffs if they're coming in hot with that 3-point shot. Dante and Christian are both hitting on the same night, and Willis can give you 10 to 15 points. You get rebounds, you play tough defense. One thing about the NLMB, bro, is they're always locked in. They're not ever going to show up they're not going to show up in sports and give you a half-ass effort any night of the week. So You got to be ready to be prepared to play them, and that's what I've always loved about them. So, and LNB, man, keep it up. You guys are having a good year, and I got nothing but high hopes for y'all come playoff time. Nobody better overlook an LNB.
No, I couldn't agree more. And that's a kind of a good segue. Speaking of overlooking, we're coming onto a team that I think is starting to feel a little overlooked. I see him commenting on Instagram and shit. And it's a team that, I've loved for a while now, and that is the Snipe Squad boys. They are probably the youngest team in this league. And they have had, again, these 2-2 teams, it's very similar. A roller coaster type of year so far. Some ups, some downs. Snipe Squad lost to Flint, took out Lord's Army, took out Syndicate, and lost to Run TMC. So, look, the Run TMC game was a solid one. The Flint game, I think, was a great loss for them. Kind of like an introduction to, hey, look, we got to change the way we play. Maybe we need to play some of our guys way more. Back in the day, it was just Angelo and Tim K's show, and now they got a few more guys that can really hold their own out there, and that's kind of what is going to be the big thing going forward. You got Nick Cruciulio and Kyle Cusano. Shout out the Italians over here. And then you got Daz Desmoni. What do we got? What is this? What do we got? Is it charcuterie board over here? Look, but not for nothing. I just think that they got some good players out there who can hold their own, and it's going to come down to, can these guys elevate and step up in the biggest moments? Because we know what Tim Case is going to bring. Tim Case has done it. He's pretty consistent. He does his thing. He balls out there. And, again, for Snipe Squad, I think it's this very similar conversation for a lot of these teams, similar to Lord's Army, similar to Street. These next few teams, it's going to be, you got a lot to prove. What can you do about it? And, for Snipe Squad, can they string a few wins together, maybe climb up in the standings, get a better seed, and then maybe we can see what they can do, going forward. Let's see. They got Lux Gang next week, and then they play NLMB, and then they got Enterprises Elite, and then they got Street Ballers. Those are all winnable games for them. So, hey, Snipe Squad, I think your time is now. I'm very excited to see what these boys can do, and I'm rooting for them. And Connor, what do you see from these Snipe boys?
Dude, Snipe's a really good team. Tim and Angelo, obviously, they're the driving force. They're the engine on this team. Listen, I need somebody to piss off Angelo before a game. He's too nice. He's way too nice and way too happy out there. Even when it's a 2-point game and somebody just gave him a hard foul, he just gets up, he's smiling, he's laughing. Referee misses a horrible call where he gets double hacked across his arm. So he just looks over at the referee and just gives him a wry smile. And Angelo is disgusting. And I just want to see a pissed off version of Angelo. One game, one of his teammates need to text him and just talk some fake shit to him before the game. Be yo, Angelo, you're dog shit. You're not going to score 10 tonight. Or you're not going to score 20 tonight. And I know for a damn fact you're not scoring 30 tonight. And then I just want to see him go out there with an edge on his shoulder and just go crazy, because he's been repping that Luka Doncic number, which I love, and he plays like Luka the way he, when he's in his prime, he's hitting all his shots and he's getting his teammates involved. He'd be putting up some Luka type stat lines. So that's kind of my big take with Snipe Squad is I just want to see Angelo really flourish in a role where maybe even Tim Case isn't the star of the game, right? If you can make Tim the second best player on your team on a given night, you're putting Snipe Squad in a position to be a very hard team to beat. Because we already know Tim's going to put up his numbers, right? So it's just Angelo's that guy where I think Angelo, the first week, he didn't shoot the ball that much. And then the second week, he went absolutely crazy. Let me look at the numbers real quick. So first week against the Flint Tropics, Angelo shot the ball 8 times. He made 4 shots. He had 9 points. Okay? Why did he shoot that ball? Why do you only shoot the ball 8 times? In the next game against Lord's Army, Angelo shot the ball 21 times, Greg. What a shocker. He made 14 of them. He made 36 points. That's the Angelo I want to see every single night. Come out there with an edge and with a sense of assertiveness and just go crazy. Because when he's doing that, Tim also was great that night at 21 points on 9 of 11, and he was the second best player on Snipe, and they kicked ass that day. So yeah, that's what I want to see from them. Just give give Angelo more of a role. I like the new additions; they're definitely a lot deeper, but I want to see Angelo just play like Luka, bro. Just play like Luka. You're wearing 77. Play like Luka.
Yeah, so I got some intel. I'm not going to dry snitch and say who, but one of the interns, one of them, there's 11 of them, so, it could be anyone. did say Angelo was not good enough to wear number 77. He's like, man,
That's insane.
he goes, that kid ain't good enough. He better take 77 off. He should wear like.
That's all he needs. That's all
I'm
he
just
needs.
saying. I'm just saying. He an intern said, I said he, so you know it wasn't a girl. So there you go. It was one of the 10.
Yeah, it's
I
like
didn't mean
yeah,
to. Sorry,
yeah. There's
sorry,
only
sorry,
one girl.
guys.
Shout out Cameron, she's safe, but everybody
So it
else
wasn't
on the hook.
Cameron, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just saying. That's what I heard. So
Greg, that's what he needs. Somebody to talk some shit like that. Yo, Angela, they said
you
you can't
reminded
wear
me when you said that.
77, bro. They said that shit. You got to go wild now. So shout out Angela, man. I want to see him play like that. Let's go.
Yeah, shout out Snipe Squad. Hope they can. I would kill to see them win a chip. It'd be the fucking best thing ever.
Yeah.
But moving on to a team who else? Another team who's 2-2. Look, got a lot to prove, and that's the Street Ballers. Shout out to Rico and the boys. And the Street Ballers have looked very good so far this season. They've been fighting, they've been scrapping, they've been pushing, shoving their way, climbing up those standings. Doing whatever they can on the court to get to one of these top seeds, because you want one of these top seeds. You can avoid Flint or TMC until later in the playoffs. And, they played NLNB great. They only lost 70-63. They lost to Flint by 12 only, and then they took out Syndicate and Enterprise's lead. So for this Street Ballers team, they played two of the top teams and two of the worst teams in the league. So I'm very excited for these next weeks for this Street Ballers team. They got Get Money, Lord's Army, Lux Gang, and Snipe Squad. Those are all great games for this team. Benji Valentine has really played well so far. I'm really impressed with what he's bringing to the table. And, we know what Rico does. Rico just, he's a gamer out there. He's a leader, but he knows when to take a backseat, and he's done that this year. And then you got Hoito Acosta. I hope I pronounced that right. Definitely didn't, but this guy's fucking killing it. He is balling out there. And he really is starting to figure out these rims. And when my guy Jay, I'm just gonna call him Jay. When my guy Jay is doing his thing out there, he is. I mean, he Greg sat time. He's 11 of 15 from the free throw line. That's something that is big in this league. You're gonna get fouled, especially when you play Flint. You're going to the line when you play Flint, and if you can hit those free throws, I just love what I see from this guy. I love this Street Ballers team. They're fun to watch. They play with an edge, and I'm just sky's the limit for them if they can figure, in these last 4 weeks, figure something out. If they can, finish 2-2, 3-1, watch out.
Yeah, honestly, Greg, I'm just so happy to see Rico with a team around him that shares that same intensity and desire to win that he has every time he shows up at Legacy Leagues, He always shows up that great energy, man, and I'm looking around in these previous seasons, and I just see guys that maybe I'm sure they want to win, but it just doesn't. You don't get that same vibe out there. When Rico has the ball, you get that killer mentality. Like, this dude wants to go flush that ball on your head. He wants to take that ball, hit that step back three. Now he's playing with a bunch of killers, Greg. He's playing with a bunch of dogs out there that share that same mindset as him. And, I mean, look at Rico, man. He's having a really good season. He's going 15 points per game right now, 6 rebounds per game. And he's got a couple guys on this team that are even having better seasons than him. Like you said, shout out your boy. Dude, they got 3 Acostas on this team. So there's like a family affair going on here. There's the family vibes, right? So that's going well for this team. You got Benji, who's been on one of Rico's teams in the past. He's flourishing in this new role with this new team as well. I'm just really liking everything they put together. Shout out Rico, team captain, who, he deserved to have a roster like this that was capable of competing with the best teams in the league. They have it here. I really like their upside. I'm interested to see what they do come playoff time, because this is, once again, another one of those teams in that 2-2 range that, man, they might be 2-2, but they could be just as good as a top 4 team in the league right now. So interested to see where they go from here, but I think the arrow is definitely pointing up for the Street Ballers.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shout out to the Street Ballers. Shout out Rico. Shout out those boys. Again, we're just going to kind of continue this trend. Let's just keep it moving. And, with this next team, it's kind of the same. It's the same thing. Shout out these Lux Gang boys. Lux Gang has they have a funny story because, coming in, we had no idea what to think of Lux Gang. Like, sometimes with these teams, we get like a little hint, or we get some intel, or we get something that, kind of tips us away with what this team's going to be like. And we had no idea. And then Lux Gang came in, they played Lord's Army, and they beat them. And Trevon Jones went off. Then come week 2, they played Get Money, and Get Money smacked them. Get Money came in and dominated, but Trevon Jones went off. Then they played NLMB, and they only lost to NLMB by 3, and Trayvon Jones dropped 45. And then Luck's game took down Enterprise Elite, and this was the game where I think we figured out what they were. They smacked them, 124-83, and Trayvon Jones dropped 47 on their head. So there's some things we learned about Luck's gang. One thing is that Trayvon Jones is an absolute monster. He's a freak. He is dominating out there. Win or lose, he's going off. He's getting his. He's killing it. And also, we figured out that Lux Games, they're a real team. They're here to stay, and they're playing some great basketball because, this Lux Game team is 2-2. And going forward, let's see who they're rocking going forward. We got Snipe Squad, Syndicate, Street Ballers, Run TMC. And, it's, again, I know there's only 10 teams, obviously, so it's some of these are, similar games. But all these 2-2 teams, if they can figure out a way to go 3-1, just 3-1. All you got to do, just go 3-1. You can fall one of these weeks. It's fine. You'll be looking at the top of this 2-2 bunch when the playoffs come, and you might be able to avoid a team that you don't want to face in the playoffs. So for this Lux Game team, I think they just got to keep doing their thing out there. I love what I see from Trayvon Jones. He's an absolute, like I said, he's an absolute monster. And then, even some of the other guys they got going on, Hakeem Trueheart. He's really started to figure it out, and he's nasty. a lot of fun to watch. And again, I always say it. Once you figure out this rim, it's kind of like a lethal shooter. Like, I understand it now. That's like kind of how it is in Legacy. And then you got Tyler Edward doing his thing, and Connor, I'm going to kick it to you because I know you've watched these boys a bunch. But Lux Gang is figuring it out, and they're figuring it out fast.
Yo, I don't know when InSports started letting people bring guns into the facility. This kid shows up, Trayvon Jones, with a Kimbo RPGs for arms every time he walks in there. And he's honestly one of the most scariest human beings I've ever seen in my life, just from a physically intimidating factor. And I'm really glad I'm not having to ever guard that guy on any part of the court. Because, that looks like a nightmare for anybody, man. Even big guys. I see him backing down big guys on the low block who have multiple inches of height on him, and they don't stand a chance. He just pushes them out of the way. He gets to his spot. Easy layups. Greg, typically in basketball, guys that have arms that are the size of my head don't shoot the ball well. Like, they're guys that are going to be physically imposing near the rim, right? It's insane, dude. This kid is shooting 51% from 3 on 31 attempts so far this season. He is pure from deep. How do you guard a guy that's built like that and also stretches the floor with shooting? I don't know. He's an absolute animal. Hakeem Trueheart, man, dude, he calls himself an old head, but he be balling like a young man out there, bro. He be balling like Jamal Crawford. He's got a crazy side-to-side little hezzy move that he be coming down in transition and hitting shots on dudes. He is so fun to watch. You can tell that this dude's been hooping his whole life, and shout out to him, dude. He be really putting up some highlight plays, and honestly, any basketball purist that watches Hakeem Trueheart out there, you'd be impressed by what he does. He's got such good flow to his game, great handle. Great touch on the shot. Even in his first season on 8.5-foot rims, it looks like he's been playing on it for his whole life. So I really like Lux Gang. They're a little top heavy with their roster, honestly. There's like 2 or 3 guys that do most of their scoring, and then it really falls off a cliff after that. So they got to try to find a way to supplement that if they want to make it deep into the playoffs. But I really like some of the talent they have on this team, and hopefully they can put it together as the season goes on here.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now we're going to do something fun because this is going to be funny. Let me go to my... All right, ready?
Oh, boy.
Can you see my screen?
Let me go full screen here. I'm looking at it.
You see these teams?
I'm seeing all the teams.
All right, so these are all the 2-2 teams. Rank them. Let's get a consensus ranking from us. So who's the worst?
All right, off dome.
Okay. All
right. Get Money.
1.
Number 1.
Okay.
NLMB.
Okay.
So far, I'm just following the list, but I swear it's not like I'm gonna have to switch something up now because this list, Greg, you did this bullshit ass list.
I just wrote it down.
All right. Yeah, you ranked them, and then you're like, rank them. Like, bro, you already did it. No, I'm playing. All right, Get Money, NLMB. I'm putting Street Ballers at 3.
Okay.
Snipe Squad at 4. Yeah, Lord's Army and Luxian. This is the team. This is the game that just got decided by 1 point. I think Lord's Army blew that game. So I'm putting Lord's Army, and listen, if you're on Lux Gang, you can comfort my head. Yo, actually, no. Trayvon, if Trayvon comes out to me, bro, yo, Lux Gang's higher. No, I'm playing. But yo, I got, I got Lord's Army just for the veteran aspect of having so much experience on that team, played in this league. Yeah, I know they lost that game head to head against Lux Gang, but like I said, they really kind of choked that game away. And I think if they were to rematch, I would put my money on Lord's Army, even though it's really, really close in those teams. I mean, they were decided by 1 point, right? So it's obviously those teams are very equally talented and similar like that, but that's how I would rank them.
Yeah, I would. I'd go Get Money, NLMB, Snipe, Street Ballers, Lord's Army, Lux. That's what I would go. But it's. I just thought it'd be fun because that's like they're all very different
They're
teams.
close.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very close. And now we get to the bottom of the barrel. I mean, look,
Who
what
gets
do we
a win
got?
first, the Syndicate or Enterprise Elite?
Who do we
Yo,
got?
my boy Alex Rivera, bro. We love you, Alex, dude.
Yeah.
This. You
Who
have
should we
no
start with?
business being in this conversation, dude. You have
Here,
no
here.
business being in this
We'll,
conversation.
we'll start with Alex, and we'll get it over with quick for the syndicate. Look for the syndicate, guys. Um, they've played close games. I think they're going to find a way to maybe sneak a win out here with Lux Gang. The problem for the syndicate here's the issue for the syndicate. Their last 4 games, NLMB. All right, it's going to be a
Tough
tough one.
game. Tough game.
Lux Gang. So that's the chance.
That's their best chance.
Then they play Flint and Get Money.
Tough.
So it's going to be that Lux Gang. 7-17 Super Bowl.
And
I need the halftime show. Like I need Sexy Lex performing. They need to be ready and locked for that 7-17, 7-10 these next 2 weeks because they have talent. They really do. Alex Rivera is playing good basketball. I know he wants that Most Improved Player award, and you know what we're gonna do? Just because shout out Alex. Let's take a look really quick. Let's see how he's doing. So Alex got 9 points per game, almost 60% shooting, 4 rebounds per game.
go Lex.
That's a good. That's a good season.
That's actually. I thought
It's a
that
good
I
season.
didn't think that he was averaging that many points per game.
Yeah,
I'm actually proud of Alex for that.
that's a
Good shit, Alex.
good season. He's up from pretty much 5 a game and
Yep.
3 rebounds. So he's having a good year. Eric Moore is playing good basketball. Mikey Fuller doing his thing. Steve Gibson. They all contribute on this team, and I think they just kind of got to keep their head down and keep pushing because there's been some bad luck. And it's been a rough year for them. But Connor, what do you got on this team?
Yeah, I think we got to do a shout out to Vontae, right? Vontae
Yeah,
Whitehurst.
yeah,
Obviously, he was involved in an altercation outside of legacy leagues, and he was critically injured. I think he's being treated in a hospital, so we hope that he pulls through. Shout out to Vontae. There was a really nice moment of prayer that the Lord's Army and the Syndicate shared start of the game last week, and I just thought that was an awesome moment where you see these guys come together. Bigger than basketball. This guy's health paramount, obviously, to these guys, and they're all friends and their teammates and whatnot. But that's a man's life right there that we're all thinking about. So shout out to him. We really hope he recovers, and that has a huge impact on this team here because he was definitely Alex's lynch piece of a teammate that he grabbed in the offseason, throws him into this roster, gives him that role of just please go ahead and carry us because that every team needs that guy, right? When the game gets close, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, neck and neck, you got to have a guy that's going to step up, and that was their guy. So it's tough to see him not out there. It's going to hurt the Syndicate's chances of finishing the season the way they want it to. They had that big altercation with the Street Ballers earlier in the season. We're not going to get into the details of that or whatnot, but I think that moment kind of had an impact on this team in that game specifically, where it was going back and forth. Those teams were playing really close with one another, Greg, and then everything kind of got heated up there for a few minutes, and after that, the Street Ballers took off on them that game and just kind of left them in the dust, where the Syndicate were playing a really good game, and it was back and forth, and they had a chance to win, but they never recovered from all the stuff that went down in that little scuffle that they had with the Street Ballers. So They had their chances multiple times this season to get that win. It's unfortunately that it hasn't happened yet. Their best chance is definitely against Lux King. But, yeah, definitely had high hopes for the Syndicate just because I know Alex had, put a lot of time and thought into this roster. It's just unfortunate that it hasn't panned out for him because we love Sexy Lex. So we'll see what happens. We're rooting for them to get their win. Who's going to get that first win, Greg? Is it going to be them or is it going to be our next team, Enterprise Elite?
Yeah. No, yeah. Shout out Sexy Lex, and here we go. Enterprise Elite, baby. Enterprise Elite. They have 3 players. So let me look. Let me take a look quick. Hold on. Actually,
it's the Josh Browdy. Just not spend too much time on this, Greg. He comes down, he shoots 500 threes a game. He's doing his absolute best. We got our boy Kevin Herter. He was doing his best as well. And then
I can't believe Syndicate and Enterprises Elite don't play this year. Joey.
That's bullshit. We got to change the schedule.
That's crazy. Wow.
We got to put these guys head to head, dude. It's only right. And they need a player to show up. They need a 4th guy to show up. Sometimes they get like some people to show up at halftime. They get like a caravan of players that just come out of nowhere. One of them's like 7 feet tall. Yeah, they need to get guys to show up at the games before we can start talking about them winning games. But Josh Browdy, bro, comes down. He plays like Steph Curry. He just wants to shoot threes the entire game. I don't blame him. It's fun to watch him. He doesn't even shoot threes from the 3-point line. He's like pulling these things like 10 feet behind the 3-point line, and he's making a lot of them. I actually saw Alex Rivera watching one of their games a few weeks ago, and I can tell Alex was taking notes about some maybe a potential recruiting job for a future season. So I know the kid's got eyeballs on him around the league right now. So that's really the most we can say about Enterprise Elite.
Yeah, shout out Enterprise Elite. Josh Browdy, you're balling, man. Do your thing.
Josh Browdy and our boy Kevin Herter, dude.
Yeah. Shout out Vin Callahan. Keep doing your thing, guys. You guys are doing your best. Do your best out there. Seriously. Keep pushing, and you never know. You catch a team slipping. Maybe a flu hits. Maybe food poisoning. Bad Chinese. I don't know. Next thing you know, maybe you sneak into a dub. Shout out Enterprise Elite. Shout out all our teams. But we're going to go into the awards section of this show. And this is where the money is made. Me and Connor are going to go through our Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, MVP, and then we're going to make our finals picks, and everyone will get out of here and go enjoy 4th of July weekend or whenever you're watching this, whatever the next holiday is. If Joey posts this by Christmas time, hey, Merry Christmas. That's kind of cool. I'm going to go. All right, so we're going to start. We're going to start with the Offensive Player of the Year, and there's a lot of ways you can go with this, just because there's so much offensive talent in Legacy Leagues, always, especially this summer CT season. And I'm going to start off with Trevon Jones from Lux Gang. And, we talked about him a bunch, so I'll just kind of pretty much run it quick for you. Trevon Jones' stats says it for himself. So Trevon Jones averages 39.3 points per game. I'll give you the exact stats because I'm not going to give you I'm not going to round up. 63 from the field, 51 from 3, 10 rebounds a game, and he averages a steal. And why do I say a steal? Because usually the interns don't get steals. The fact that they're putting steals in so he gets 1 a game means he's probably getting like 3 or 4. Trevon Jones is a freak. He's an incredible athlete, an incredible basketball player. He's my Offensive Player of the Year. What about you, Connor?
Yeah, Trevon Jones is my Offensive Player of the Year, my Defensive Player of the Year, my MVP, my All-First Team, my Rookie of the Year. Whatever he wants, he has. No, I'm playing. No, he's having a great year, though. My Offensive Player of the Year, Kyle Davis, is going to be my pick. And I know he's not currently the Offensive Player of the Year, but this is kind of a projection for me. Like, who's going to finish as your Offensive Player of the Year? I think Kyle Davis is about to have a huge second half. We've seen him average 30 a game. Honorable mention, Reggie Stewart, who is averaging 30 a game. It could easily be OPOY as well. Trayvon averaging 40. You can put him in the front runner spot right now in that position. I wouldn't even be mad about it. But I just kind of wanted to zig where you zagged a little bit and get some other names thrown in the mix. I think Kyle Davis with the second half, we talked about it when we went over the Get Money team. I think Kyle's going to have a massive second half and juice up his scoring numbers big time, and I think that's going to be my pick for OPOY. Great
pick. Shout out to KD. He's filthy. We're going to move on to Defensive Player of the Year, and I'm going to go with my boys from the Flint Tropics. I'm going to go Shaquan Jackson, another just such an underrated player in this league. The way he plays defense, he's a leader out there for them. He's really just locked down, and I don't even need to go into the stats because he just really can do it all. He can guard your best player. He is active. His hands are always moving. He knows what to do. He's smart. He's a cerebral player. He's just phenomenal out there. And Shaquan Jackson is just someone who you would want on your favorite team, and you hate when you play against him. And he is just, I think, so underrated and so stingy out there in the best way. One of the players, again, honorable mention, I'm going to go Eric Singleton because I think, he's a great choice. But Connor, who's yours?
I like that pick for DPOY, Greg. Honestly, last week when I was watching Flint, I had a new appreciation for the way they play defense. Like Quan was taking on the primary ball handler and in a great, three position stance, ready for the step back, ready for the drive, and he had Mike communicating somebody talked to him, There's screens coming around. Quan was fighting around the screens. There's just a lot of communication and a lot of effort and the intensity on the defensive end from Flint this year. And it's all starts at the top. When you enter that offensive zone, or for Flint, the defensive zone, Quan's usually that guy that's taking ball. So he's having a great season. I like how you appreciated that and noticed that because he, gets known for being a great scorer. 20 points per game. He's always getting on the highlights for all of his dunks, but definitely a great defender as well. Another guy that I don't want to say he's overlooked. He's claimed he's overlooked by us, Greg, but this guy, I feel like we're always talking about Dave Armstrong. Have we ever missed how good Dave Armstrong is?
No.
Maybe the interns miss it because, he doesn't score a crazy amount of points a game, but me and you, we give this guy his flowers all the time, and I'll give him again right now. He's my pick for DPOY, a guy who half the time he gets a stop and a rebound. He's doing a full court pass, which sometimes they're hysterically bad and they go out of bounds, or he rolls them across the court, he does weird stuff. And then other times he's like Tom Brady, and he perfectly puts a dot down the court and right to someone's basket for an easy 2-point shot. And he doesn't even run down on offense half the time. He's perfectly content, Greg, with getting rebounds and playing on defense. Where so many times guys are the opposite, where they play offense, they miss, and then they're like, I have to go run down and play defense. You see them walking or barely jogging down. Not Dave. Dave takes pride in getting stops and rebounds, and for that reason, he's my DPOY. He is always my DPOY, even when he's not winning DPOY. He's to me, he's the definition of the quintessential defender in legacy leagues.
Yeah, no, he's a regular to these awards. And speaking of someone who isn't a regular to these awards, that's going to be my Rookie of the Year, and that is Nick Crisciulio from Snipe Squad. He's my Rookie of the Year. I think he's really playing well. Let me just make sure. Actually, he didn't play for them. No, he didn't. I didn't think he did. He has a funny game. He's kind of a big guy for them, but he just the way he plays, it works. He understands how these rims really work. He attacks the basket. He's not afraid. He's a solid free throw shooter. He can shoot a three. He's athletic. And, he's averaging 14 per game, about 5 rebounds. He averages a block a game. He's a great defender, and he's someone who I think is a backbone for this Snipe Squad team. Just like Connor said, when a few of them are having an off night, you need someone to supplement that, and he's just been doing it for them. So shout out to Nick. I see you. You're going to be my Rookie of the Year. Connor, who you got?
Realistically, it's Trayvon Jones. If I was averaging 40 points a game
True.
and I wasn't getting Rookie of the Year in my first season, I'd be having a conversation with the guys running this league. And if he was having a conversation with us, and Greg, I think we would quickly submit to him, you're Rookie of the Year. No, I'm playing. All right, but he's definitely the guy in the front runner. But I just want to give a shout out to Nas Pryor on Get Money. I think we talked about him a little bit earlier as well. I think 16 points per game. He's playing a lot of minutes on Get Money, and they're a really good team right now. I think we do have to factor a little bit into the team success. Even though they have the same record as Lux Gang, I anticipate Get Money finishing 6-2 just based on their projected schedule. But I think Nas is having a really good year. He's a really good addition for that team and a good player that I'm really happy that Get Money was able to add to their roster because for the last few years, Get Money's always added the same. They came back with the same team except they lost Tyrant obviously to injury. They added Kyle, which was awesome, and then they just had this great team. And then they lost Tyrant, so it's been a while since they had that full completion of players on that roster. I'm interested to see if Tyrant comes back healthy and joins this team, what this team could be. But for right now, I'm really glad that they were able to add another talented piece like Nas, and it's good to see him balling out.
Yeah, shout out Nas. He's a phenomenal player. He was a huge addition for them, and I'm so excited to see what the Get Money boys can do. But we're moving on to the biggest one of the night, and for my pick, it's another one who's an unusual suspect for an award like this, and that is Reggie Stewart. He's going to be my MVP from Run TMC. I believe this would be his fourth MVP. And Reggie runs Run TMC. I mean, what more can you say? Reggie does everything for them. He literally is their engine. He's their heart. He does literally everything. As long as he's going, they are going. They know when to pick him up. They know when he's on. They know when he's off. He's played with these guys a bunch now. They all understand it. Even the new guys like Pratt and Scave, like they just get it. It is seamless with them. They are a well-oiled machine. It's like the Ford assembly line for these Run TMC boys, and Reggie is the guy who's just doing it all out there, and that's why he's MVP. He's the most valuable guy to their team, and that's Reggie for me. What about you, Connor?
Man, we're going back to back, baby. Matt Fink. Shout out your boys, the Flint Tropics. We should have zigzagged these picks so that you could glaze the Flint Tropics, but I mean, it's not a hard decision for me. I mean, Matt is so good, and what he does that makes him so good for this role as MVP is, yeah, he gets all those points. He plays defense. He's really tall, so he gets rebounds, but it's the passing. It's so amazing watching him pass. The behind-the-back passes that he's able to pull off while moving at full speed through traffic on his way to the basket and just finding guys that I didn't even see. Like, you know, I'm watching from the game from the scoreboard. You know, I have an unobstructed view. He's like moving through all these bodies, and he's able to see guys that I don't even see that they're open. They don't even look open until the ball's all of a sudden in their hands, and they're getting these good shots. Specifically Pat. I mean, Pat gets a lot of looks. I think Pat and Matt have a really good chemistry that we don't really talk about shots near the basket. Obviously, the kickouts, the Mike, you know, he gets a lot of assists there. He finds the Quan plenty of times for transition plays, but he gets a lot of these nifty passes to find Pat Drury close to the basket too, which you know, amp up his assist numbers and ultimately make him just the all-around offensive threat. Great defensive player as well, MVP player. So shout out to Matt Fink.
Yeah, no, I agree. Pat is underrated, and Matt Fink, man. I mean, my Flint boys. What can you say, man? He's another one who's the engine of that team. He does it all out there, and you know, there's so many ways you could go with this award, and also there's 4 weeks left, so you know, that's something too. You know, we're going to talk about our championship pick next, but you know, 4 weeks left, so you know, none of this is locked. A lot of ways, a lot of stuff could change. So you know, speaking of a championship, Connor. Let's do it. Championship pick. You want to start it?
I'll start it. We'll switch it up for this one.
You do it.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I talked to these guys when I saw what they did to their roster. And I came up to them on the sideline. I said, boys, this roster is it. Chef's kiss. I loved it. Loved everything about it. Started off great. They went 2-0. They were steamrolling teams. And I was just all in on them. Get money, my boys. And then, obviously, they kind of ran into a tough part of the schedule. They played Flint and TMC. Things didn't go well. And it would be so easy for me to be like, well, pretend I never said that. I'm going with the Flint Tropics. I can't do that. I'm going to ride with the Get Money boys. Again, I rode with them before. I'm riding with them again. Man, am I going to sit here and tell you, like, I think they're better than the Flint Tropics? No, I mean, this is one game, right? We're not talking about a 7-game series. Get to the playoffs. Everyone gets in. They're going to have a good seed. They're going to finish the season with a good record. I know it's 2-2, and you know I can't prove it, but I'm anticipating them having a good record. They're going to have a pretty good seed. Yeah, they might be the 3 seed, Greg, and they might have to take down, like you mentioned that earlier, right? They might have to take down both TMC and Flint on their way to doing that. Like, right? They have, like, if you're the 1 and the 2, you're guaranteed not to play each other till the finals. But if you're the 3, you're going to have to go through both to win. So that's the tough spot for them. But I think they're built for it. They got to win one game against each team. They've lost to them. It's tough to beat a team twice in any sport when you're equally, competitively balanced against one another. And I think that they are. Listen, it's going to be tough without Tyron. It always is. But I believe in these guys. I believe in Kyle Davis to go absolutely nuclear in the playoffs and Nas to kind of get more comfortable with the legacy leagues by that point in the year, and Taisheen to just be like I said, a great two-way player as well, and a solid bench. They've always had a great bench. So I'm riding with Get Money, even though it doesn't feel right now. I have hope that they can figure it out.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick. Get Money. I always tell the interns, I'm like, just because Get Money's 2-2, like, don't sleep on them. Get Money's a phenomenal team. They're one of the best teams in this league, and don't sleep on those guys at all. But I'm going to go with my boys, the Flint Tropics, for the chip. I think this is the year they get it done. Last year, we had Flugate. A few things happened. Obviously, Chris never lets us forget about it. But, thank God we can't hear that right now. So I'm going to go with the Flint Tropics because I just think they got too much. I think their ball movement is too good. Their defensive intensity is just way too good. And also, I just think they want it. I think they're pissed after last year. I think they're really motivated and they understand how this league works. They understand we got to make sure TJ gets his shots. And I think Connor said it best. Pat Drury is someone who has been underlooked, and he's huge for this team. He's playing really well, and he's really exploded onto the scene. And with him just really starting to figure out his role in this league, I think that's something that's going to take him to the next level. And I can't see anyone beating him. I know there's going to be a lot of teams, upset. Run TMC, I'm sure, will be upset. But I'm going to go with the Flint boys for now. But hey, not locking it in. Only 4 weeks. There's still 4 weeks left, and we're going to see. We got a lot of basketball left, Connor. Anything else you got? Any good takes?
Listen, no more takes. We've filled it up here with takes. I know Greg had to bounce out of here 15 minutes ago. So shout out to Greg, who's probably just got fired.
Always legacy.
But we love Greg. We love Legacy Leagues, man. We love our great country. Happy 4th of July.
Amen.
Once again, everybody. If you guys have stuck around to this point in the podcast, you guys are OGs.
I was going to say.
drop a 100 emoji in the comments of whatever social media that you saw this on, and we know that you are a real one. But yeah, shout out to everybody, man. It's been a great first half of the season. We're looking forward to how it finishes, Greg, and hopefully me and you can do this again soon.
Facts. Amen. I mean, look. Shout out Connor. Shout out to the interns. Couldn't do it without Connor. Couldn't do it without Joey, obviously, our fearless leader. The interns have been great. Shout out them, and shout out the players who make everything happen. Without you guys, again, this wouldn't all be possible. But yeah, everyone enjoy your 4th. Have some good barbecue and spend some time with your families and loved ones. And it's been a pleasure as always.